Welcome to this September 12th, 2016 CONA, Sarasota County Council of Neighborhood Associations members meeting. My name's Kathy Benz, and I'm the current president of the organization. Our meetings are now available as videos. They're created by Pete Tyson, and we maintain an archive on our website on the meetings page. And our website is at www.conasarasota.org. We also very frequently publish resource materials that are associated with things that are important to neighborhoods and our members, and especially to certain meetings when we have them. So you need to look, if you're looking at information on our website, besides our meeting page, you should always look at our resources page. I'm looking for people who are running for offices in the audience tonight. If you'll stand up, please, and introduce yourself. I'm going to pass the microphone very quickly.
Hello everyone, I'm Ray Porter, and I'm running for the Sarasota County Charter Review Board, District 4.
I'm Kevin Connolly, and I'm running for the Hospital Board, Seat 1, and I want to see that we keep Sarasota Memorial a community hospital that serves the needs of our citizens from Northport to Newtown.
I'm Karen Collins Fleming, and I'm running for Charter Review Board, District 2, and I want the voters of Sarasota County to keep the Charter Review Board elected rather than appointed.
Hi, I'm Mike Schlasko, and I'm running for Sarasota County Charter Review Board, District 5, and likewise, I want to see that the Charter Review Board stays an elected body.
Hi, my name is Arlene Sweeting. I'm running for Charter Review Board, District 1.
Thank you. Also, Vic Rowe is in the audience. He was in this race too, and we're very disappointed that he didn't win his election. I don't see any county officials or city officials here that I have to announce. I always take announcements from the floor by our member organizations. Is there any organization that wants to talk about anything that their association is doing at the moment? Okay.
I'm Tom Walker. We have a Nation magazine, what used to be a Nation magazine discussion group. It's really just the Nation group. We discuss anything we want to. The first Thursday of next month in October, I think it's second, I don't know. First Thursday, we'll meet at the Selby Library downtown at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to have the Charter Review Board. All of the candidates talk about this same thing and how we might improve the charter. So please come the first Thursday in October, 10 o'clock in the morning at Selby Library. Thank you.
Any other announcements from member organizations? How about from the floor? Okay. Could you come up here, please?
My name is Josephine Motter. I'm the Vice President of the Oak Court Association, which has 64 homes, and I'm here to talk briefly, and Kathy's going to give me the sign when I'm at 4 minutes, because I have 5 minutes to do this, because there are two issues at hand, immediate issues. A developer has proposed something that may affect all neighborhoods in the county. They have proposed that in an OPI, office, professional, and institutional, on a lot next to our residential area, that all OPIs in the county that are at least 2.5 acres in size and are on an arterial road would be able to have a self-storage unit built there. Now, it's a two-part proposal. Zoning amendment number 117, and this is going to be brought up this coming Thursday night at the Planning Commission. The zoning law would change so that any OPI in the county would be that was that size and on an arterial road would be able to have a self-storage unit built on it. Currently, self-storage units are only allowed down in Inglewood on the 776 corridor. And the second part of this, because I want to talk about both of them, then I'll come back with more detail if I have the time. The second part is then there is a proposal that if that zoning amendment is passed, then they are proposing building next to we are off Fruitville Road, but we're not in the commercial part of Fruitville Road. We're closer to McIntosh. That they would put up a building that fronts on Fruitville Road, 210 feet wide, 3 stories high, with 650 storage units. Our neighborhood association is quite concerned about this because this is going to be, we consider, a blight to our neighborhood very much. Now, a legal notice was posted that this zoning amendment is coming, but I think the only people who heard about it they sent letters to us that were right around this one plot. And so there are projected 100+ areas in the county where this could happen. So if the zoning amendment passes, then all that a developer would have to do, because it would be, say it's zoned for self-storage with those 2 stipulations, that all a developer would have to do is propose a building that meets county requirements for setbacks, height, and all of that sort of thing. So this will really open the door for this to happen many places in the county. We don't believe any of the other OPIs in the county have been notified because we don't know where they are. We have asked that at a neighborhood meeting that we had. The second part being then the building itself, which is a OPI special exception number 1753. And that means that there will be the public hearing to allow this. And we in Oak Court are concerned with many issues: noise, light pollution, traffic that would be coming in and out of there, which would be using the same road as the Julie Rohr School, which is right there and already has traffic backup every school day. We also are concerned about the covenants that they are proposing, which they call them private good neighbor covenants, which would be enforced only through homeowner or homeowner association lawsuits to make sure that they are carried out. Things like, that the people would not have noise there and whatever. So the zoning enforcement people would not be coming because, according to the county, they would not be responsible. Also, we say no, the storage isn't needed. We did a fast survey. There are 8 storage units within 4 miles of where this is going to be proposed. I called them all today and asked 6 of the 8 I've already talked to. That is 4,822 storage units that are already available, and they do not have certainly 100% occupancy. So there are going to be 2 meetings of the county commissioners on this issue. We don't know the date in November, and there have to be 2 readings of this zoning amendment. And at the second meeting, it's already set for December 14th. If at the December 14th meeting this is passed, then they would immediately go to say whether or not this big structure would be built. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a planning board meeting this week, if you want to speak at it. Yes?
Could I make one brief announcement?
Yes.
I'm vice
You
president.
need to wait. You have to wait.
Okay. All right. I've heard a loud voice, but I'm not a member of CONA, but our organization, the Better Government Association of Sarasota County, collaborates and cooperates with CONA on many matters. And we are having our annual luncheon on the 8th of October, that's Saturday the 8th of October, at Marina Jack on the Bayfront, and it gets underway at 12 o'clock, registration at 11:30, and our speaker of the evening is going to be one of our 2 panelists at that talking about money in local politics. We almost titled it Dark Money in Local Politics, but in any event, it's a luncheon. The cost is $28 for non-members and $23 for members, and they have good food there at Marina Jack's. And if any of you are going to be in town and want to know more about money in local politics, on the 8th of October, Saturday, there's a few flyers over there. If they run out, I have more here, and please pick them up for me if you'd like to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements from the floor? Okay. CONA also, on the website, I built a calendar for the year, and on our meetings page, in the left-hand column, you can always see what we've planned for the meetings for the coming year. The next CONA meeting is October 10. It will be a candidate forum on the changes proposed to the comprehensive plan and the candidates running for the county commission seat that's still open. And on within the next week, and the date is changing, so I'm not sure, but October 13 through October 15 is the State Neighborhoods Convention, which is being held in Venice this year. It's a convention that's held every other year, and it's neighborhoods from all over the state come to this convention to learn how to help themselves, issues that exist, and to gather tools that they need in order to run their organizations better. At the moment, the county is taking the reservations for this, and it's open at half price, which is $50 per person. Until the 19th, they may extend it, but the important thing is the county and the municipalities are giving scholarships, and some of them are 2 to a neighborhood association, some are 1. So you can apply for that, and a representative from your organization can attend these things. They're very important workshops that are held that educate you all very well. So please act on that. Tonight, we're going to have 2 speakers. Lourdes Ramirez, who's chair of the League of Women Voters Speakers Bureau, and she's going to discuss the proposed amendments to the state constitution, the proposed change to the county charter review board, and Lourdes is going to have a little bit of a question and answer period after each segment. And I'll be passing the microphone around for you to speak, so raise your hand if you have a question. Following Lourdes will be Gerry Swormstedt, who is the chair of the Manatee Sarasota Sierra Club, and she's going to discuss a jointly sponsored project called the Solar Co-op Program. And there'll be question and answers after Gerry talks too. So I'm going to start off by introducing Lourdes. And she's got a sign-up sheet that's over there, but it should be passed around too.
Good evening. I recognize a lot of faces here, and I know the last time I spoke as president of CONA, I was saying, oh, I'm just going to go to League of Women Voters as if I'm retiring and not going to be doing anything after that. And then a few months after I started with the League, they said, well, can you tell us about the charter? Spoke to them, they're like, you gotta be the chair of our Speakers Bureau. I'm like, okay, so I'm not retired yet. So this presentation was created by the League of Women Voters of Florida, but I adjusted it for Sarasota County. But there's going to be information you already know because I'm talking to about a dozen groups, and some people are not familiar with constitutional amendments, so if it's kind of boring, I apologize. But I'll talk about the ballots, and I'm also going to get into the Charter Review Board. The one on the left. My lovely assistant here, this button right here. Oh. There you go. A little bit about the League of Women Voters. League of Women Voters was created right before the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920. We started accepting men in the League in 72, and our whole goal is good governance. You want me in? Okay? All right. Okay. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan. We don't endorse or support any candidates. There was some controversy a few weeks ago which someone was claiming that we endorsed them. We did not. We only talk about issues. We do not talk about candidates. We have candidate forums, we have debates, but we do not endorse or support candidates. There are over 30 leagues in Florida, and that's our website. And our whole goal is to educate the public about elections and to advocate for issues. This is some election facts. As you know, we have an election every 2 years. This year is a presidential election, so it's a very busy year. And in 2 years, we'll have another election, and that will be, again, a governor's election on down. And the governor is going to be term limited in 2018, so it's going to be a very interesting year. And just FYI, our legislators meet just only 60 days a year, so don't let them fool you into believing that they work year-round. Now, the Florida Constitution.
Back up, because your face is not lit up. It'll be very dark.
You know, we need an X right here. I'll stand right here. You know, okay. Before I continue, because, oh, I'm sorry, I'll have to get that later. So I can't see the thing, this whole. A little bit about the Constitution. Everybody knows about the U.S. Constitution. What they don't know is the Florida Constitution, and they don't know why we have ballot amendments. And then soon I'll be talking about our local Constitution, the Sarasota County Charter. So the Florida Constitution basically is talking about the powers. Do you still get me, Pete? Okay. The powers, the structure of our government. And that's true with the federal government, obviously the state government, and our local government. My favorite part of the state constitution is Article 7, which prohibits the levying of income tax. So, you know, if anybody ever threatens that they can bring back the, threatens us with income tax, they can't, unless they get our permission. So ballot amendments are changes to the state constitution. And now, in order for something to be adopted as an amendment, we need 60% approval rate. There are several ways for an amendment to be on the ballot. One is by the legislators, and then you need 3/5 of both chambers, the Senate and the House. It could be by citizen initiative. That's the petition you see signed. And for a state amendment, you need about 680,000 signed valid petitions to get something on the ballot to make changes to our Constitution. There's also a Constitutional Revision Commission of Florida. They only meet every 20 years, and the next time they meet is next year. So you'll probably be hearing a little bit more about that in the next year. It'll be interesting to see what they propose in our state constitutions, what changes they plan. The Taxation and Budget Reform Commission and the Constitutional Convention is very rare. We hardly hear any revisions being proposed by them, and the Constitutional Convention has to be requested by the citizens. And I don't think I've ever heard that been done. I want to briefly talk about Amendment 4. This is the one that was on the primary ballot that confused a lot of people about the solar amendment. It is the opportunity for businesses to get tax abatements or tax exemptions if they install solar. That was on the primary, and it actually passed by a 72% vote approval. Okay. And they only needed 60%, and it passed by 72%. It was an overwhelming approval of that amendment. Now we'll go into the November. There are 4 proposed amendments. The solar amendment, which I'll get into in detail, an amendment on marijuana, and tax exemptions for the disabled first responders, and tax exemptions for low-income seniors. And this is what's going to appear in the November 8th ballot. The first amendment is on solar. It's called the Rights of Electricity Consumers Regarding Solar Energy Source. And I'm not going to read every ballot summary, but I think it's important for me to read this one to you. It establishes a right under the Florida Constitution for consumers to own or lease solar equipment installed on their property to generate electricity for their own use. State and local governments shall have retained the abilities to protect consumer rights and public health, safety and welfare, and to ensure that consumers who do not choose to install solar are not required to subsidize the cost of backup power and electric grid access to those who do. The amendment is not expected to result in increase or decrease in revenue or cost. Leave it right there for a minute. I underlined their own use and subsidies, and I wanted to explain that. The thing about this, if you read it, it sounds good. They're allowing us to own and lease solar equipment to generate electricity for our own use. The key problem is for their own use. This amendment was created by the utilities, okay? They're concerned about people installing solar and selling it to others, to their neighbors, in particular back to the grid. So what they're doing here is saying, by allowing you to generate electricity for your own use, you cannot sell electricity from your own solar power equipment. You know, if you have like a big piece of property, let's say it's even a shopping mall, big box store, and you install solar panels and you have enough, electricity generated so you can sell it to your neighbor, that should be our right as property owners. But by this, they're saying, no, you cannot sell it. You cannot sell your electricity that you generate. So that's the first problem in this language, is not being able to allow us as consumers who use solar power to sell it to anyone else. There was a ballot amendment that didn't make it on this election, which was going to allow us to sell electricity to our neighbors. But it was a citizen initiative. They didn't get enough signatures, so it may make it in the 2018 election. So by the utilities creating this, they preempt that, because they'll have this in the Constitution, they hope, and then you're going to have a much more difficult time putting one on there that would let us sell electricity to our neighbors. So that was problem number one. It's a problem because it really clamps down on people who own a lot of property to want to install solar so they can sell it, to others that's not within the utilities. I had saw on Facebook an idea that I think is going to be fantastic if we installed it here. Some people were thinking of doing those shades for parking areas and on top having the solar panel. I mean, how ideal would that be? If you had something like Siesta Beach with solar shades, I would love it, because if I'm on the beach, my car is under shade. In the meantime, the roof of these little structures will be all solar panel generating electricity. Obviously, Siesta Beach is not going to need all that electricity, and it could probably sell it to the condos, besides the concession stand and the fire station. But with this, we wouldn't be able to. because it's not owned by the utilities. The second problem is the word subsidize. In this ballot, there is no definition of what subsidies mean. The subsidies is being defined by the utilities. So the utilities, in their idea of subsidies, can come up with any kind of definition of what they think subsidies are. So for example, you heard about the utility who charged their consumers, I think they generated $1 billion for a nuclear plant that never got built, but it was their fee. They got approved so that, these utilities can collect this fund to build something that never got built. Well, if they have an idea, I think FPL just got turned down trying to go to like Georgia to explore fracking, and they wanted to charge us that fee for exploration. I'm not 100% sure, I have to look that one up, but I knew they got turned down for a fee. So if they say they have a $1 billion project, and they looked at our area, and they say, okay, we can distribute the cost of this project to all these consumers, but some of these are solar consumers, they're not on our grid, and wait a minute, they're not paying this fee. Now they're being subsidized, and then they want us to pay their full cost, as well as what we have to pay for solar. So that kind of decreases the incentives for us. If we have to pay everything to our utilities and the cost of solar, then what's the point of installing solar? So those two pieces of language in this ballot is a problem. Oh, can I finish this whole presentation and then I'll ask questions? Now, currently in our statutes, we are already allowed to install solar. So it's not something that we necessarily need to put it in our Constitution. And again, as I mentioned, it creates an assumption that solar power users are subsidized by utility customers. Oh, and I didn't mention net metering. Net metering is when you have, it's a billing mechanism. When you have solar energy power in your place, you should be able to credit any solar that you sell back to the grid from your electrical use if you use electric as well, dark days, rainy days, etc. But this will eliminate that. And again, it requires payment for those who install solar. I mean, if I could pay $100 a month and, electric, I install solar, and they still want me to pay $100 a month, what's the point, So Justice Barbara Pariente, in her dissenting opinion, stated, this masquerading as a pro-solar energy initiative. And obviously, you know that the utilities are private, they're investor-owned, they're profit makers, monopolies, and they don't want to have any competition. So it seeks to kind of constitutionalize the status quo, and she just called it wolves in sheep's clothing. So it not only violates our right for less expensive solar access, I think it really violates free market principles. I mean, we should be able, if everybody believes in property rights, we're going to install solar, we should be able to sell it to our neighbors if we like to. The supporting organizations include all the electrical companies, and a vote no means basically we should be able to use the electricity and hopefully have the opportunity to sell it in the future. Of course, everyone who opposes this includes all these organizations, and I have to apologize. I know when I told Kathy it's an unbiased presentation. This is the only one the League of Women Voters did speak up on. We are opposing this solar. We want you to vote no on Amendment 1. So, anyway, you had a question on solar?
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
I'd like you to know that you can add CONA to the list of organizations that oppose it.
and the Sierra Club as well? Okay, we'll add CONA and Sierra Club to that list. Yes, we have another question.
Hold on.
Well, I think that's great that the LWV opposes it, but there's something that isn't even mentioned here that's subtle, but
the big overriding picture is global warming, use of power, fossil fuels. The power companies use fossil fuels, or in some cases nuclear power. If we vote no for this and we're able to net meter, that means you have the right to sell power back to the utility company on a net basis, and it would reduce the need in the future for the power companies to have to build new fossil fuel stations. So it's super important, much more so than just the fact that you can't get credit back for the money. It helps terrifically, and California and many other states have net metering, and this really works. And they are so far ahead of us. We're 4th in the nation, or 3rd, as far as solar access, and we're about 15th or 20th as far as solar use. So the big picture is the net metering and the reduction of fossil fuel services.
That makes a lot of
Thank
sense.
you.
I mean,
Anyone else?
it makes a lot of sense what he said, because if we're generating the solar and we're selling it back to the grid, and how much profit can they make off of us? I'm sure, you know, so it is a problem. So for Amendment 1, we're really asking you to vote no for Amendment 1.
I think you can use, you have net metering now in Florida. What
Right.
this would do would put the shoe in the door, so to speak, for them to gradually disallow it, because of them saying that the solar people are not paying their fair share and they shouldn't be getting any money back from us. And
Right.
you can do it now, but it would be on its way out if you say yes.
Exactly. I mean, it's sad how it's phrased. But the sad part was, for those of people who just read that, just like I did the first time I read it, said, well, that's great. And I was confused, because when I was signing that petition, I think I signed the wrong one. But it's because of the fact that it sounds good until somebody pointed out, look at these words. You know.
We have to spread the word, because that one is currently polling at 70% also, the bad one.
This one's polling at 70%. It's scary. That's why I'm out trying to speak on this topic. And I really hope you share the video once it's online with your neighborhoods, your friends, your family. And if you have a group you want me to speak to, let me know. I have about a dozen speaking engagements, but I'll be happy to squeeze in a few more. So if there's no other questions, we'll move on to Amendment 4. That's medical marijuana. This is a citizen initiative, and many of you may remember the medical marijuana of 2014 and how controversial it was. And it almost passed. It had 57%, and you know, you need 60% in order to pass. So what they did was they went back and they cleaned it up. So it's allowing for the use of medical marijuana for debilitating diseases, and by a Florida physician, and it's got to be registered, and it's got to be for caregivers, and people outside of Florida can't come in here and get medical marijuana. So that's, I think, there was a lot of concerns that somebody from a prescription from another state can come and they got it over there, they can get it over here. And they were also concerned that there was not going to be any regulations, and that the caregivers were going to use it as well, and that tourists is going to come really